everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Talkin Cardboard. So we have an official name, and we've got 2 official hosts. This is us. I've got Robert, Cardboard Squares, as my co-host. Today, my name is Nick. Today, we're going to go through just a short introduction of ourselves, and then we'll get to to today's topics. So first off, I'm Nick. I'm a collector. I'm a buyer, seller, trader. I do it all. I'm opening a card shop in my hometown because I love this hobby so much, and I want to see so many people just kind of getting in touch with it and finding some joy from it. So I love all the Wisconsin sports teams. I'm a homer. You'll see that on my Instagram page. Check me out on eBay, YouTube, Instagram, whatnot, basically anywhere cards are sold. So that's my little spiel. Go ahead, Robert, and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm just more of a hobby. I'm more into being here for the community. I'm a rainbow chaser, so I like to put together a little bit different things. But for me, it's really just about networking, meeting people in the hobby, the community, and building friendships. And that's kind of about it for me.
Rock and roll. Okay, well, we've got some really amazing topics for this episode. The first topic we're going to cover today is called NFL musical chairs. We have probably the largest blockbuster trades we've ever seen, so we'll get to that. Second topic is going to be city love and loyalty versus winning championships. What comes down to the team or the business of sports? Second, we're going to talk about the Nba Mvp race, as well as our 6-man award so far for the season. Let's see. Next one, we've got non-sports cards and what they're doing to the hobby and how much craziness is surrounding them right now. And then we're going to do spring training talk with some of the new rules. And then I want to do a sidebar on a little bit of wax buying. So stay tuned for all this, guys, but let's jump into this first topic right away. Today's big news, yesterday too, kind of. Tyreke Hill to the Dolphins. I mean, come on, man. You're a Dolphins guy, right?
I am. It's great to see for the home team. Dolphins are truly making moves. In my opinion, this year is not going to be about the weapons that Tua has. It's going to be about the execution that Tua can have with those weapons.
Sure, making sure the team works.
Yeah, like all of these, he has 2 fastest receivers in the NFL in Tyreke Hill and Jalen Waddle. He's got an easy tight end who got franchise tagged, who easily should have been 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown tight end, kind of like a Kelsey. The way I see it, the Dolphins are almost building or kind of designing from a San Fran plan, kind of mixed with the Kansas City Chiefs plan. They have a lot of smaller guys, a lot of running fast guys, quick guys that can move around, but it's going to be a massive, massive thing if they cannot get it to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a heck of an experiment, I'll tell you that. Tyreke Hill's cards. I mean, he was already on a great team, had a great quarterback, has had a fantastic career. What do we see happening to Tyreke's card value coming up?
Sadly, I think that's going to depend on what Tua does. If Tua can't get him the ball, you're going to see a decline in him. But at the same time, with it being a multi-year deal, you might see a little dip this year, which in my case isn't so bad. Being a Dolphins fan, being able to afford some nice Tyreke Hill stuff,
right?
I'm going to try to pick some up. But regretfully, it's with anybody catching the ball, it just depends on who's throwing it to him and if they can actually get it to him.
Right.
So if he has a good year, Tyreke will have a good year, and you'll see the rise in both of those players.
Legendary talent. I mean, the guy can get it done. You know what I mean? Catches the ball. He runs faster than almost anybody out there. He's an amazing receiver. So I wish him luck in Miami, and I hope his cards don't go too far down. I've got a few, nothing crazy, but if they go down far enough, I'll be looking to add to my PC there. Okay, so we've got Davante Adams, franchise tag by Green Bay, says I'm not playing. Everybody thinks the writing was on the wall. He was leaving before it was ever even announced. Went to the Raiders.
Las Vegas was a decision for him the second he bought his home in Las Vegas. And this happened, I want to say a week, maybe 10 days before Rodgers was even re-signed.
Okay.
So I don't doubt that Rodgers knew he wasn't going to have Adams when he got back.
Right.
I think Rodgers kind of wants to maybe build for his own, and I honestly don't blame Davante. I mean,
he's worth the money.
He's one of the top 3 receivers in the league, period, hands down, bar none. but it's also, I think that you've noticed in the past couple of seasons, a lot of these pro teams getting these players that went through college together back together, or taking them from college at the same time to give them a little bit of comfort.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, look at Jamar and Joe.
Exactly. In preseason, everyone talked about Jamar. Oh, he's having issues with the ball. Oh, he can't catch. Oh, he can't do this. Not a single person is saying that right now.
Nah, nobody's
It
saying that.
it gave Joe a comfort blanket. Joe's running around the pocket. He said it before. Throw it up. Jamar will be there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think with Adams going back there, it's a huge weapon for them. And also, Las Vegas had a lot of internal issues over the past season. I mean, them and Jacksonville both are building teams and units
Yep.
that, if they click, are going to be scary in both divisions.
I don't see the Raiders winning the bowl next year just by adding Davante. Not even, I don't think that's even close to real. One thing that I do want to point out though is Davante's cards haven't been all that expensive for most of his career just because he's in the Green Bay market. I do see his card prices going up, even though he's going to a way worse situation for the chances at a championship in my book. So I think you'll see an uptick in Davante's card prices in the next, over the summer a little bit. And then when the season kicks off, I think you'll see it.
Yeah, I would definitely say that now's a buy time for him, because he's going to be a longevity type buy. He's not going to be he's going to the super team, he's going to get a ring, and you're going to see
and then he's walking. Yeah, ain't going to be that way.
No, he's going to be a long-term guy. He's going to be, in my opinion, the next Jerry Rice-ish type guy, where the value is there when he's in a star. A couple years after, it's not there. But now, if you go try to find some Jerry Rice rookies, good luck.
I mean, there's a lot of them out there, and they're all expensive now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. So yeah, unfortunately, I think Tyreek Hill's prices go down because he's leaving the good situation and going to Miami and has to prove something on that team. And then I think Adams' prices just go up because of the market for a little bit here, at least. Let's talk about Russell Wilson going to the Broncos. I didn't see it coming. Before last season, they were talking about the Falcons for Wilson, I believe, and I just thought it was another one of those nothing burger stories, and he'd be in, Seattle forever because he just felt like that kind of, like our next topic, that loyalty city kind of guy.
In my opinion, I feel that Russell won on this one.
Sure.
I mean, I think he's going to a better team, at least 2-3-fold. I think that this puts him immediately in the running of playoff talks. I'm not sure if it puts him in the let's go get a Super Bowl conversation.
Right.
However, the weapons that he does have and his scrambling ability, if he can bring that back to what we knew from 2-3 years ago, with the people that he has around him and the speed, is going to be a dangerous offense. And the defensive in Denver hasn't been lacking for very long, if at all, the past couple of years. So it's really about putting up points and keeping up with teams that are putting up the points. And Russell Wilson's good at doing that.
He is. He's always been a good player to have in an exciting game format. When the other team's scoring, he usually puts up the big numbers too, and it gets fun to watch. Last season, I think he was a bit of a dud just because he had his thumb injury, and that was plaguing him when he came back even. Nothing looked good for him last season. And I know that team has kind of been, I don't know, seems like it's crumbling around the edges. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see him go to Denver again. I think he's going to have more success in Denver than he had in Seattle for sure. I think John Elway knows what the hell he's doing when he's putting a team together.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's got all that going for him. Predictions for card values for him. Do you think we're going to see a rise? Because he's fallen a little bit. Last season, he fell down a little over the course of it.
Yeah, I definitely think you'll see a significant rise in him once preseason is done and we know exactly what's happening across the board on all these teams, is really when you'll start to see the true spike of what's going to happen for the off-season spikes. But, I mean, again, until anybody plays, we see how they work and how they mesh. But, I mean, just for the trend, I've never been a Russell guy. I've never been a buyer of his. But this is a time right now where I might try to get my hands on a couple of rookies just so that I can have them in case he does what people think he's going to do. And me being one of those people, he's got a lot of weapons, But again, it's about, continuity between your players and how well they click together. If they click, his value is going to soar.
Yep. I mean, even the Topps paper, because he was 2012, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great play, Russell Wilson. If you're a fan, if you want to collect him, now's a really good time to jump in on that. I don't think anything's really skyrocketed until people see what's going on for the season. All right, now we got the big guy, the last one. Not a big fan of the move. I don't even know why he's in the league anymore. I'm just not a fan of his. Deshaun Watson. So Deshaun Watson is going lovely to the Browns, and Baker Mayfield is out most likely, or backing up, probably not. But Mr. D Watson signed for $140 million, I believe, somewhere in that zone. It's incredible. So let's break this down for a second. So Baker Mayfield had Odell, had Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, forget their tight end there. But I mean, the offense wasn't really lacking in any particular area, other than maybe the offensive line. Maybe you could say as a weak point on the Browns, but there wasn't a whole lot of holes to fill there. And then all of a sudden they just uplift everything and say, nope, Baker's not the guy. We're signing this other guy, Deshaun Watson. So, what are your thoughts on that?
My biggest thing is I like Baker. I've liked him since his college days. He's just one of those people. He's kind of like a Derrick Rose. Like he's always hurt.
Yeah.
You can't stay healthy in this league. You're never gonna, play up to your full potential. I definitely think that he's out. The Browns went out and got, I believe, Jacoby Brissett from the Dolphins as a backup.
Yeah.
So that way they can start. The biggest thing that I think people need to look at is the actual contract itself. Yes, Watson is getting paid, and yes, he is getting almost every single dollar, if not every dollar, guaranteed to him. I believe it was like a 6-year, $230 million guaranteed.
Oof.
But what you need to look at is the first year. So this upcoming season, his contract is only $1 million.
Oh.
So I think that the Browns know that he is most likely going to be suspended by the NFL.
Okay.
If that does happen, I think that it's a minimum of 6 to 10 games. I just don't see it being any other way. The only kind of he said stuff I'll put on it is the fact of there were no criminal charges brought.
True.
If this was any other guy, we would not be seeing it blasted around in the tabloids, in the social media, on the news, as we do for these players.
Right.
So yet I understand the situation is going to be different for everybody. Situations are situational. But however, until if something comes about and sheds more light, then yes, don't know why he's playing the league. But we've had many instances of this before. Big Ben going through his multiple circumstances, one being caught on camera that looked fishy and did not look good. So I think the NFL really doesn't care as long as that person makes the NFL money. And Deshaun
That's the
Watson,
sad part, though.
It is. They want to say morals, but even with an accusation, if that's all it's going to take, it needs to be fair across the board, no matter who you are.
Agree. Everything's got to be there. No double standards. But I think it's interesting if he can come back and actually play at a high level. He'll do something for the Browns that no one's been able to do for the past 40 years.
Ever.
Bernie Kosar comes to mind. That's about it. All right. Khalil Mack to the Bills. That one's kind of interesting. I think that's a power play for the Bills. That just makes them better, period.
They're just getting better across the board. I mean, even a little no-name pickup that they had in Duke Johnson. I mean, yes, I'm kind of biased because I'm a University of Miami fan, but Duke Johnson came to the Dolphins last year, put up some good numbers for us in the couple of games that he played. He's one of those guys that, if you look at on social media, is kind of throwing Baker under the bus, talking about, if you don't want to be on this train, get off. And he's posting pictures of that train exploding now on the rails. So he had to deal with that in Cleveland for the first couple of years of his career. So I'm excited to see even like a pickup like that to see if he can shine, because he's one hell of a running back.
Right.
So the AFC East is a scary, scary division. almost every division is, but me personally, following the AFC East like I do, it is just I do not want to be any team, period, in that division.
Whoever has to play whatever AFC team period in the Super Bowl this year is
Yes.
probably going to be a little scared going into that game because the AFC in general is just loaded. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, but pure statistics has Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl this year.
Does it really again? Good Lord.
Yep. If
I
you look
mean,
at his back and forth, his lose win ratio,
all right.
like the rest of history, like if history repeats itself for the past like it has past 18 years, then he'll be winning a Super Bowl this year.
That's yeah. I suppose you can't retire in your on statistical year, right?
Nope.
Okay. Um anything else with the NFL musical chairs? Any free agents you want to see land anywhere particular as of right now?
The one hot take I will say is Kaepernick working out with Tyler Lockett and his brother in Seattle actually needing a quarterback. I would like to see if somehow he comes back to the league. I think that possibly one of the most turnaround players that you'll see in all of the trades that have already happened is going to be Matt Ryan at Indianapolis.
You think he's going to light it up there?
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. Who's
I
his
mean,
receiving core there?
he's got Pittman, T.Y. Hilton.
Hilton's still there. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with everyone else on the free market. I mean, Julio Jones got cut from the Texans. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones have some history together.
They certainly do.
I would see no problem with him taking a slightly less money to get back with his man, just because that right there is going to give you what everyone wants is that pairing and timing. So they don't need to work on anything at all.
Right.
Jarvis Landry, whether or not he wants out of Cleveland not or still with, Mr. Watson going there. But I truly believe that the Indianapolis Colts will not lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars to go into the playoffs if it comes down to that again this season.
That's crazy. I'll give you my last one just from a Packers fan perspective. I want Julio, I want Jarvis, or at the very minimum, Will Fuller. So, Davante's out. I need something. I need somebody who's going to be a clear, at least on the depth chart, number one.
Lazard is very underrated in Green Bay and by people up there. That man is a beast.
Can he be number one?
He is right now.
Well, okay. I mean, sure, by depth chart alone, sure. But do you really think he has the swagger and the ball control and capability to be Davante's replacement?
If he does his job to the fullest of his ability, it does not matter what he has. He has a person called Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Anybody that goes on that team could be a number one when you have one of the best passers to ever touch a pigskin. He will make you look good.
I have no doubt about that. I mean, I've watched so many people walk away from the Packers organizations to basically retire in a year or two after being, team leaders. It's nuts how that actually works out. But I like that take. I like that take a lot. All right, let's move along here. All right, our next topic is about the love of the city, the loyalty for your team versus when it's just a business and you don't really want to win championships for the sake of winning the championship. You just want to make all the money you can. So go ahead, Robert. Let us know what you're thinking about this.
I truly believe that I understand that there are demographics in areas where you are in a larger market, but I also believe that's driven us to the point that we're at. Starting with the NBA building super teams. I mean, let's go back to the Mr. LeBron James. I am taking my all my stuff down to Miami, It started there. I don't really believe that it's fair to the smaller outlets that don't necessarily have the financial capital and the needs to go do what they need to do to build said championship teams. The only thing that could possibly be done there is if these league committees start kind of diversifying the money and giving some smaller networks and some smaller areas some more money so that they can kind of keep up. You see it in some sports across the books, one of which F1 just changed, where you have a Ferrari who can spend $1 billion a year versus a mom and pop company who can only spend $100 million. They're changing that up by putting a cap on it. I think that certain caps need to come back, and I don't think that anything's really going to change until that happens. It's changed more from a sport and a pastime to a business. And we all as fans understand that, but I don't think that ownership understands how much it hurts the fans, which can in turn hurt their business.
True. Yeah. I look at somebody like a LeBron, as an example. Loves his hometown Cleveland, started there, didn't win a chip, got a super team built in Miami, gets his first chip, continues to move on then and comes back to Cleveland with an awesome sauce first round draft pick by Cleveland. I think a lot of these guys just do grass is greener. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that there's a ton of loyalty left in any particular players out there. You know what I mean? I look at a guy like Rodgers, and I don't know if you call it loyalty or recency bias. Like, what do you know? What do you want to come back to? Do you want to come back to a whole new organization and try to retool and try to get it going? Brady's a little different type of a dude. Obviously he left his Patriots, but they didn't want him anymore, right? So I mean, where do you go then, right? You choose where you want to go when you're Tom Brady. So yeah, loyalty within a team or any organization is so much harder to find now than it ever had been in the past. Just thinking about like Giannis. I mean, he said he was going to stick around in Milwaukee till he got a chip. Well, he got a chip, and now he's got 2-3 years left on his contract, and everybody I know is saying he's not going to be here. That he'll be going somewhere else.
Utah.
I heard a hot take though about this as well, because LeBron wants to play with his son Bronny, and I can't even remember where the hell I saw it, but I started laughing as soon as I saw it. They're saying Bron to the Bucks because the Bucks are going to be in position to draft Bronny.
I think that no matter what happens, that LeBron will play with his son. I would take a little bit different of a hot take. I believe that LeBron will play with his son in a Utah Jazz uniform.
Whew. Do you think Giannis is going to Utah and Bron, or just Bron?
I think it'll be Giannis, LeBron, and Bronny all on the same team within 3 years.
Oh my God. I don't even know what that's going to look like, but I'll still be a Giannis fan even if he's not a Buck.
It pairs up perfectly against Giannis's contract. LeBron's already stated that no matter what happens, he's playing with his son, and you have to look at ownership of the Utah Jazz. A minority partner in that right now is Dwayne Wade, one of LeBron James' best friends. Carmelo Anthony has talked about wanting to buy into a basketball team. So why not put yourself into a position of taking over ownership of a team, part of an organization, and therefore draft and go pick up and trade and make players that will play well with your son, possibly Dwayne Wade's son, possibly Chris Bosh's son, possibly Shaquille O'Neal. Why not take all of the youth of past NBA stars, put them on one team, and see what the hell happens?
Call it the all nostalgia team or what?
I mean, just we'll get there one day team. I mean, you're talking, Shaq's kid, Bosh's kid, Carmelo's kid, like eventually they're all going to play and they're all coming to that age together because they all were drafted together. They were all best friends. And what better way to do it than with the people that you've been with your whole life on this journey already?
Right.
Who understands it better? Nobody. So these guys were there, understand it more so than anybody.
So to recap kind of this conversation about, city love and loyalty versus championships, I think I know the two things that players are loyal to. Are you ready? People, they're loyal to certain people. And then I think the big one's money. I think there's a lot of players out there that, maybe want a chip on whatever team in whatever sport. And they're like, that's good enough. Let's go get a bag. Right.
And then it also changes because people say, like, even with Davante, like, why didn't Green Bay offer more money? Or he took less money in Las Vegas. But then you got to start looking into tax laws. Wisconsin has a very, very hefty state tax. Nevada does not.
They have zero state tax, right?
Correct. So he's actually making more money taking less of a contract, and I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, it's like 5%.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, that adds up quite quickly and significantly life-changing money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's going to happen, but it's just I believe we're too far gone for it to get back to these kind of city style or even state style. I mean, you look at Florida. Florida has the Magic, the Heat. I mean, the Tampa Bay Raptors, basically, with the bubble and everything. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just multiple football teams, just everything across the board. I would just like to see it spread out a little bit more and kind of have equal shares across the board for all teams in general. You
Sure.
know, but
Make it more interesting.
just
Hopefully.
make the game less lopsided. It's just, 2 years ago, Burrow can't be protected worth anything. So the first thing they do in the offseason is go get a OK line.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we made your improvements. Look, that we did that for you. Then, the improvements they had were not good enough.
Right.
And, they got so far. If he would have had literally one more second in the pocket on that last play, Jamar Chase had Ramsey on the floor. It's a walk-in touchdown for him. Completely different game.
Yep.
So, again, this year they go improve, and realize we'll protect that guy and we'll do better. And so to see an organization that has kind of been dumped on for not taking care of their players, making the necessary moves to protect their assets is nice to see. And I also think one thing that could kind of change it is if you get drafted, you got to do a 5-year deal in that city no matter what.
I mean, unless you're traded right away, right?
I'm saying no trade.
No trade. If you're drafted by the organization, you're stuck there. No one has a clause on the way out.
Correct.
That would create some real hometown franchises, wouldn't it?
It would, but it would also prevent someone from having power over an organization or the organization having power over a player. It goes both ways.
It's good mutual protection, yeah.
You have one more year left on your deal. They'll play you 80% to make your numbers not look so good to get a better or lesser offer. Same thing with a player. He might not play as much, say, hey, I don't want to get hurt or put myself in a situation where I'm taking away from my self-worth. So make it fair across the board. Too many times we see players get these 5-year deals, 2-year deals, and then they're gone in a year. Same thing with coaches.
Yeah.
Like I hate seeing coaches get a 5-year deal, then one year, oh, you didn't win in the playoffs. I had 1 year.
Right. People expect a whole rebuild of a team in one season or even two. I mean, I think it's not realistic. And
if you look at it in percentages, like, if you take a 5-year deal and you had 1 year, that's 20%. I've only got to do 20% of what I thought I could do. So it's like you go into any situation, any job. Like, are you going to walk up to a card bar and say, I'll give you 20% of that?
No.
You're going to want full value. Let the people show their value, and you can't do that unless you give them the time to build their system. It's a lot more than just players. It's a lot of things.
Shouldn't hire salespeople, not let them sell for 3 months and then fire them after 6 months because they haven't sold enough either.
Correct.
All right. That was a good topic. I like that one. Okay, so the next one we have on our list today is we'll start with the Nba MVP race. So it's really a 3-4 horse race right now. We've got LeBron looking pretty amazing, leading the points per game and scoring this season. We've got Joel Embiid on the Sixers, even though they've gone a little cold. We've got Jokic, and then we also have Giannis. So there's a lot of different things to consider. Right now, I can't give you a clear winner because they're so close. I mean, you look at minutes, you look at defensive prowess, you look at everything going on, and it's a really tight and awesome race right now. It's fun to watch. The homer in me says Giannis wins, but he missed a game the other day, and I mean his points per game aren't up there in the top 2 in the league. It's tough to say that somebody's the MVP when they're not putting out the best numbers, so it's a tough argument to hold that down. But, going into the final stretch of the season here, coming out through spring, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of crazy to watch. Who are you rooting for? Who do you think's in the lead right now?
I mean, LeBron's always going to be up there just because he's a big name. For me personally, I think I'd like to see Embiid get it only because he was so dominant last season, and then he gets hurt, and that just kind of blew his chances. So for the fact of someone to be doing, back-to-back seasons of just dominating, just doing their job, and I think that what people need to realize is that they might not be the most prolific scorer, they might not be the most prolific defender, but if your job is to go out there and get the boards, play in the paint, be that low guy, and you're doing all of that, and you're doing it better than anybody else at your position,
Yep.
that needs to be considered. The fact that he was so far in the race talk last year, only until he got hurt, I think kind of gives him, in my personal opinion, leverage over the other guys.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
again, in one of those situations where, in a 10-game streak, Giannis puts up 40 a game, how do you
Yeah.
deny it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, I try not to let my homer bias me. I know Giannis is really freaking good, but it's tough to watch that guy play and not go, yeah, he's the best. Um, when Harden came to the Sixers, I thought it was over. I thought Embiid was going to run away with it, but then they actually slumped a little bit. I don't know what happened yesterday. I wasn't paying attention or if they even played, but I know they were on a little bit of a losing streak after they won a first couple and started making it look really awesome. But I really thought after the second game of Harden being on the Sixers with them that this was going just totally in Embiid's way, and I thought he'd be the MVP for sure. But after it cooled off a little bit, no one's talking about it anymore. So I think it's just going to be really tight coming down to the end. Any surprise players? I mean, Jokic gets really close every year. I mean, he's just a solid player, man. He's the guy who goes there, does his job, isn't flashy. You know what I mean? He just goes out there and gets it done. And it's hard to argue with, but there's nothing kind of sensational about it to make him, the M as part of the VP.
I mean, the league is very, very young, to be honest with you, other than a couple of teams, other than the old man Lakers. I think Detroit is actually a team that in a year or two is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
I don't think they're getting enough looks right now, but they really haven't been playing well as a unit, as a whole. But I think in another year, they'll be amazing. Steph Curry going down definitely hurts the Golden State Warriors with the ankle injury. He's already had bad ankles for his whole career. If you don't know, he almost left the league due to his ankle problems that he had until he found a good trainer. The Nets, man, if my question is this, they make the playoffs. Is Kyrie allowed to play at home?
That rule should be changing soon. I thought it was. I had heard some rumblings that was changing. All New York State workers or whatever, something, with the thing that's the mask. I had heard that was going to go away soon, but I guess we're ticking ever closer, and it's not gone yet. So will he be able to play at home?
Or just make sure that you don't have the 1 seed, so you play 4 on the road.
Right.
But I mean, it's crazy to have thoughts like that, but that's realistically how you have to look at it. But I mean, Trey looks great. I mean, my Heat have been playing very well. I'm very happy with what they're doing. They're still young as well, but they're coming alive. I mean, 6 man of the year coming off the bench, Tyler Hero, sneakily averaging 28, 30 points a game every time he's playing. So it's really, with basketball, I believe that it's almost the most evenly matched. I think we've seen it even with college basketball that I'm not heavy into, but I've been watching my highlights. What was it? Day one, no more perfect brackets.
Yep.
It's just
3% of all brackets left were valid.
So it's just one of those crazy things where it can be any team at any time, and it's a team sport. It's not, if you can shut down Patrick Mahomes, you have a chance. And this, you guys should the whole team. And when it's teams that necessarily don't play each other all the time or come up with different schemes, and especially the way basketball is, it's very easily done. I mean, we've seen the way the game has changed from the 80s to the 90s to 2000s to today, with Magic coming into the league, Jordan taking over the league, Kobe continuing that perfection. Then you have, all your big men era. Then you have, this guy, Steph Curry, coming in and shooting 55 feet all the time.
The little guy era.
Just changing the game completely. So it's one of those things that I truly believe that a lot of the teams want to have like a piece of each of those different arsenals, which they have, but it's just how you work as a unit that's going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, prime example was the early 90s Bulls. I mean, they had the shooter, they had the big guy in the middle, they had the playmaker / I can do anything, Michael Jordan. They had every component. They had the sixth man. I mean, gosh, they had such good lineups that were so well rounded back then. So you mentioned Tyler Hero as this year's sixth man award winner, probably. I mean, all signs point to yes. I don't see anybody even close in that race. If you had to pick a number two, who's on his heels? Anybody you can think of? I can't even think of anybody, honestly.
Honestly, I'm too biased in that situation that I just don't see it. I mean, it's just one of those things where when you talk to people that know stats, that's it.
It's a clear winner. Yeah,
That's how
agree,
it is.
agree,
And I
agree,
mean,
agree. So
people don't.
you're leaning towards Embiid for the MVP. I'd like to see him win one, but I also wouldn't mind Giannis getting another one. Just my
Yeah,
thoughts.
it's a little biased. I would love to see him just because last year, if he would have stayed on his path, I think that he takes out Joker along the way. So it's just one of those situations when you're almost there and you're a player like that in a city like that where you're putting a team on your back and doing
Mhm.
everything you can. It's just like it's what he wants, and like he's not going to stop until he gets it and he's healthy. So if he stays healthy throughout the remainder of the season, I just don't see how he could be stopped.
All right, cool. Well, I like that. I like that call. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next topic here. We're doing pretty good today. Um, so non-sports cards in the hobby. Before I let you talk here, I just want to rattle off a couple of recent Zero Cool Veefriends auction totals sorted by highest. So these have already closed. This is real money that people have spent. Okay. New in sealed box, best offer accepted, $20,000. Trading cards pack, 20 grand, 16,999. These are all sealed, 16,999. And then we got some individual cards going for, oh, I don't know, 101 gold, you're gonna die fly for $12,500. I mean, this is nuts. It reminds me of nothing because I can't think of anything that's ever hit this hard before. This is incredible. I mean, just out of the box, even base cards are selling for $800-900 a piece, you guys. This is absolutely crazy. So there's a lot of other non-sport related cards. This is obviously the hot topic one right now. I'm a fan of Gary Vee. I follow his content, not anywhere near as much as I used to because I'm busier thanks to him. Um, but literally, this is absolutely nuts. I mean, looking at these prices, looking at the chatter and the clamor around it. What's your take on all this, Robert?
Uh, it's one of those things where it's nice to see, kind of, but it's scary to see at the same time. I mean, the one thing that's definitely going to be a price controller on this is the fact that I believe there's only 800 boxes total. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay, so the fact that we have a fixed number is going to allow for, I guess, true market play to kind of play out of what the pricing is going to be. Now, the only thing that I believe where they actually made a mistake with this product, and I need to double check my numbers, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct, is that for those of you who don't know, Veefriends is a online NFT that Gary Vee came out with that upon purchasing has certain benefits that you can get into, whether it be a phone call, a dinner, certain
Utilities. Yep.
different utilities, but it also acts as a pass to all of his conferences for the next 3 years. So it's an NFT that has utility, which is where the value is going to hold and why they go up in value and down in value, so on and so forth. Now, the card product, I believe that he did not make enough of the cards to completely equal out the number of NFTs on the first run.
Oh,
So i.e., like you might have something there that's numbered out of 15, but there might be 20 of the actual NFTs. So that's where this whole system and game kind of plays, because if you have someone who went and collected one of every V friend that he had, what better way to display the fact that you have a V friend than with something tangible and putting it into a mounted frame up on your wall to show not only do you own them in the alt universe and the NFT world, but you also own them physically. So you're going to see a lot of people like me who might be rainbow collectors, so on and so forth, that want their NFT wallet to match their real life, which is very, very good for the card hobby, but kind of scary in the sense that if we have someone that's big into the sports card world who is now switching over to NFTs and this non-sports product simply due to the money, that you're going to see a dip and decline in the sports card world. But for the hobby as a whole, I think it's incredible. This is just fanatics getting out all their kinks before they go live with tops and everything else. And it's a brilliant way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a lot more products that are cultural based versus sports based coming out of them. But it's going to be a very, very, very interesting topic to watch to see how it grows.
Now, I just want to put this out there because I'm a little bit of the antagonist in this situation, right? I will never buy a Gary V card because I take his advice, stop spending money on stupid shit. I love his message. I love these little characters, but I only need one in my head talking to me. I don't need the NFT or the card. You know what I mean? It's different for me. I'm just not excited about these like I would be, a Jordan card or a Giannis card or whatever, those kinds of things. Not my game, right? But, I can see where people want to collect these, but I can also see this being almost a pure speculative play based on Gary V's market of people.
If, in my personal opinion, the people that are buying these cards are not buying them for the cards, they are buying them for the tie that it has to Gary V himself.
Sure. So the utility.
Yeah, that's kind of the way you have to look into it is with Gary V, do your homework, learn about the guy, but he's one that, kind of gives two F's about what anybody thinks.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is if he can continue to grow his own brand, then the little things that he does. So he's already done a baseball edition with Topps. So he's already got his own set. So let's take a look into the whole Ben Baller. Topps Ben Baller sells for more of a premium cost than regular Topps. So you're bringing in this kind of outside sports world person into a sports market, and now it's about the diamonds and the jewelry. So if this is a test run for a product that maybe due to the fact that Gary V has a friendship with Fanatics and Josh Luber, which he does, and they're very open about that, he may very well, again, get a crossover unit into a baseball, a basketball, a football when all the licensing things change. He may not be able to own the Jets in person, but what if he can own the Jets in a card?
Right.
So now if that kind of stuff continues to grow in 20 years' time, people are going to want the original. What was the first? And that's going to be the V-Friend card. So it's a very, very speculative, long-term. This is more about investing than actual hobby, in my personal opinion.
Right. I would agree. That's kind of what I was saying in a way. I feel like his army of followers, which, whatever you want to call them, group army, I'm not trying to connotate anything bad. I just feel like this is like, okay, I'm announcing this product. You're on my front. Like anybody who bought a box for $5,000, which is what I can see March 11th, and then sold one on March 17th for, I don't know, 10, 11 grand. I mean, you made $5,000 in 4 days, right? So, will it hurt? Do you think it'll hurt the hobby in general? Or do you think it only has nothing but more recognition for people in cards?
I think overall it's good for the hobby because it is going to draw more people in. Listen to Josh Luber talk to some other people. He wants to do a music one, with all these different artists and maybe do an artist and their favorite athlete, but it's not like him going to the NBA or the NFL where they have the Players Association and they get all of those players.
Right.
You're going to do something like that. Each one of these different artists has a different agent, a different spokesperson, a different sponsor. Is that person allowed to work with this person because that person is signed by this person? So it's one of those things that I think he's trying to make it happen, and I kind of hope that he does. I mean, we have a couple products in the industry now that are like that, like the pulp culture, the Kardashians, the stars.
Yeah.
And definitely kind of cool to see, even in like the baseball world, or the sports world, like, the Allen and Ginter. You have some cultural people in that product, and some of that stuff, so I chase after it because where can you get a comedian card? Where can you get a Joe Rogan? Where can you get a Gary V card? And it's only in products like that. But if you're not a sports person or in that same realm, 95% of that box is trash to you.
Right.
Because that's not what you're collecting. So I definitely think it's good in the sense that they're learning to make the division and have separate lanes.
Okay.
I'm just worried about how, when we have those separate lanes, how many cars are going to get off the sports lane and go to the non-sports lane simply for the money, or if they'll have a good way of kind of configuring it in and out in one of each other, so that way they stay connected.
Making it kind of go both sides. I like that. A friend of mine, Bobby Mars, was really big on this. I think it was a Topps product. And it was for the hospitals around Seattle. And it had, oh shoot, what's his name? Had a rapper autograph in it, and it was like one of the only cards of him with an autograph on it. Gosh, I forget his name, and he's actually somebody I listen to sometimes. But anyway, he was all about it, and he bought a bunch, and I think he ended up getting one of the autos because they were like 1 out of every 4 packs or something crazy like that. And so, he was chasing that and got it and was really happy about it. But yeah, Allen and Ginter, same thing. I love the Albert Einstein cards from Allen and Ginter. I've got 3 of them on my Instagram profile. I think I got Bigfoot, the monster truck, was it Leslie O'Neal, and Albert Einstein. So yeah, I love non-sport cards for the right reasons. Veefriends, not my jam. I didn't think about the NFTs, and I do a lot of NFT stuff too. So, but yeah, I think it's good for the hobby. I think it brings card awareness, especially after some of these numbers. You're going to see some big, Dateline or CNNBC start talking about a little bit of this stuff, and people are going to be like, what cards, more cards, still cards. And I think that's just good for the hobby in general. So, but yeah, are you going to buy any of these? Are you going to buy any Veefriends?
If I could find the right deals on them, I definitely would. I was one of the people, I was lucky enough to get a couple digitals in the early beginning. I sold way too freaking early.
Sure.
That was my mistake.
Yep.
But you live and you learn, and regretfully, when you're doing it to make a profit and you hit your profit margin, sell your product. When you set a goal for a number for yourself because you want to do other things, do it. Don't feel bad about it. It is what it is. It helped you get to where you are now. And that's the way I look at it. Is hindsight is always going to be 2020, but I'd much rather to have taken the profit knowing it could have been more than not take the profit and lose everything.
Yep.
But yeah, I would definitely, just a pure, there's a difference between rare and scarce. And I don't think people realize that, is that scarce is something that is rare, but also it's very, very hard to acquire said things. There are a lot of things that are rare that are out there that are just expensive. So I think after
at all.
Yeah, after the first wave of these sales, you will not see the sales of these cards on the open market. And if you do find a good deal, to go ahead and gobble it up. I believe it's like 10 or 12 cards per box, 800 boxes. So
8,000 cards.
8,000 cards. That's it.
Even the base set's tiny.
Yeah, so it's like, think about, you have all this base product, you might have opened, Topps 2021 baseball and say, hey, like I did 3 cases, which would be like 36 boxes. You're talking 12-15% of that product, and that's it. So it's just one of those things where it's going to be a pure numbers and ratio game, but it's also a different crowd, and it hits to a very, very niche. So it's going to create some nice little turmoil in the hobby, which is always good.
Cool. I like that. Okay. So we've got next topic here, spring training, and they're bringing back some rules and some rule changes. So how's spring training going, Robert?
It's looking great. Lot of, just as big moves that we had in the NFL, we're having the same in the NBA or the MLB this year. Teams changing everywhere. So far, only one really dust up that I saw between 2 teammates, and that was Mr. Voigt and Anthony Rizzo up in New York. Rizzo sticking up for the young guys coming up and not going to have them get hazed and pushed around by some guy who has a big contract, is already in the league. Vlad Guerrero saying last year was just the preview for this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. But players look good. Balls flying out of parks already.
Yeah.
The rule changes, I'm very, very disappointed to see the runners back on second in extra innings. I believe that is absolutely terrible, but it is what it is. Compromise is needed to play baseball. If that's what we need to play baseball this year, fine. I'll deal with it. The biggest change is pitchers being able to DH even after they come out of the game. Holy crap. Bye, Shohei Ohtani. This is huge for him. This is huge for baseball. I think you're going to see a lot of pitchers maybe start working on their hitting now, so that way maybe that could be a added addition to their game. There are some pitchers that have some nice bats, but if they practice just a little bit, they'd actually be genuine hitters.
Yep.
And I believe it's going to see something that teams will push because it'll allow them to rest other players that actually need the rest 100%. So you can just throw, a pitcher up there for the DH, even if it's just an off night. Who cares? You can rest somebody else. Don't even have them dress, stay at home, relax.
Yep.
That's going to be huge. But, it's nice to see baseball on the way. It's going to be a hell of a fun season, and I cannot wait for opening day.
Awesome. I saw a play online. I can't remember who was in it, but God, it was really some awful baseball that was being played. Someone got run down from first to home plate and then threw the ball to the pitcher and it went behind him, trying to get the guy going to first. It just an awful looking play. Looked like some rusty baseball to me.
People are trying to steal the Javi Baez move of running down to first on a tipped foul ball for a strikeout, have the runner come home from third. That play will go down as probably one of the best plays in all of baseball history, and people will try to imitate that and do that this year 100%. You're going to start seeing a lot more strategy play in baseball, which is going to be kind of interesting to see due to the fact that we're getting back to original slapstick baseball.
Right.
So it's, as people have grown with the shifts and all that kind of stuff, they started playing more strategy, but now we're kind of taking away that strategy aspect of it. So it's kind of a nice little punch to the noggin, and it changes up the whole mentality of baseball as well. So if you thought you had an idea going in, you do this, it's no longer Moneyball. Brad Pitt changed all of that for us.
Right. What about bunting? You think it'll be at an all-time low this season?
I don't know, especially with the non-shift. I mean, it's going to do things, but the bunt, if it's used for what it's used for, you'll see it just the way that it always has been. But
the sacrifice version of it, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it, like I said, a lot more slapstick baseball. You're going to see a lot more people taking hacks that normally wouldn't, purely because of the shift.
Sure.
Not the availability of not using it. So I haven't got my hand on a baseball from this year yet. I'd like to see if there's any changes to actual baseballs this year, like they have been making throughout the previous seasons.
Okay.
And hopefully go see a spring training game here shortly so I can see the players in action and see what it really feels like.
Right on. Yeah, I'm guilty. I haven't watched a lot of spring training headlines or anything after the season was officially stamped. I was like, yay, we're going to have baseball. And then I usually forget about it until April.
How it is for most people.
Right. So my last topic today that I want to talk about, two things, real quick news flash for everybody. I sent in an order to PSA last year in February. They have just started grading it today. I got my email, and if they would have waited another month, they would have had an expired credit card on my file. So I did a 34 card bulk submission right before they shut down, like a month or whatever, real close to that. And it was still at, I think it was $12 a card, which, at this rate is obviously a bargain. And who should I be to be complaining about waiting that long when it costs so cheap? I'm sure people will be thinking about that, but don't take cards in if you can't get them back in a timely window, folks. That's just, I think, the logic.
Now the big question, who's in that 34 card submission?
There's a bunch of Kobe. There's some LeBron. There's a Shaq, Kevin Garnett. I'm pretty sure it was all basketball. Yeah, all basketball. Mostly Kobe. I think 26 of them are Kobe's.
Yeah, and those are all names that, as sad as it has taken to get the year, where you kind of really did win by only paying $12 a card.
Well, right, and I didn't submit really expensive cards either. There's some Kobe rookies and stuff. Some that I hope to get like 9s on, But if they would have been 10s, they'd have been over the pricing threshold to go for the bulk rate. And I knew they weren't going to be 10s just by looking at them. But I will have a live reveal of my grading submission on this channel right here. Speaking of that too, if you're listening right now, like the channel, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. all the stuff. Leave a comment. Check us out on Instagram. Look at our Instagram handles up here. Okay. So last thing I wanted to talk about today, and then we're going to wrap this up. We're almost at an hour. Where are you buying your wax, and how much over retail are you paying for it?
I mean, that strongly depends. I bought more wax last year than I really have this year, just due to the pure rock inflation of it. Honestly, what I try to do is the wax that I do get, I'll go to my local LCS. As long as I feel the price is fair, I support them. So I'll buy a couple of hobby boxes. Maybe I have a very, very stringent rule with wax. Anything that I open, I must also afford to be able to save one of said product.
Oh,
So if I open a hobby box, I had to have a hobby box that goes into the closet.
okay.
If I open 3 blasters, I had to have 3 blasters that are going into the closet.
That's a really cool rule. I like that one. I have a
So,
little bit of a problem with opening it, as you can see right now. I don't open anything yet.
it's just situations we gotta play it out, but it's really just wherever you can find it. Like that, it's really what it comes down to.
So you're buying it from anywhere you can find it at the right price. Is that real?
Yeah.
Okay. I did a little running around yesterday. I went to all my Family Dollars and I bought up their gravity feed boxes. I want to have them in the shop that I open eventually for kids. I want to have those packs at, $3, even though they're $1 regular. I mean, I probably spent more in gas money than I'll ever profit at $3 a pack. But literally, I look at it as, okay, a kid comes into the shop with $10, right? 10-year-old kid, let's say, he can walk out with one card, or if he raids the dollar box and knows what he's looking for, he'll find 10. Or he can buy 3-4 packs, and it feels cool to buy new packs for $10. You know what I mean? Like you actually feel like you're getting something, right? So yeah, I mean, finding wax is difficult right now of any style that you don't want to overpay for. Facebook groups are the biggest one where I find deals right now. People that bought a bunch, hoarded it, and then maybe come into a cash crunch and they got to let it go fast, right?
Yep.
So I'm not saying I'm looking for those hawkish opportunities, but sometimes they present themselves, right? And it's tough. Who's anybody to judge anybody for a price on a pack of cards? I got in the height of the pricing, I bought a bunch of Prism. I bought a case of Prism Blaster basketball for 2021, and I paid almost $2,000 for that case.
20 blasters?
It's like $100 a box almost. So
realistically though, like I think you could probably get more than that per box right now.
I can't sell it at 100 per. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace with $5 shipping at $100 a box, and people are offering me $50. So I'm not taking it, obviously. It'll sit on my store shelves when I open, but just, people pay more for it than maybe what you realize sometimes. And you can't just automatically assume that everybody's trying to rip everybody else off. You know what I mean? We all get caught in highs and lows of the wax market. That's for sure.
And that's kind of like, as much as I like buying wax, that's why I implemented that rule for myself, where if I open it, I got to hold it. And that's really the only thing that allows me to actually hold on to the wax. I've just realized over the past year that the wax is just so much upfront capital to be able to really, if you're trying to make money with it, if you're trying to open it, rip it, have fun. You're going to, you know what you're going to pay. But it's just, for me, it's prospecting, investing, looking into the younger guys coming up, maybe buying people that people don't have the most pride in yet. Like a lot of these guys from Detroit, like no one was talking about Saddiq Bey, a month ago.
No.
Small chatter, but now all of a sudden he drops 51 and he's going to be this guy. Well, if you'd been collecting Saddiq Bey from the beginning, I mean, I remember buying select courtside the shimmers for $2 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it might not be a huge card, but if I could get $8 for it,
yeah,
I'm quadrupling my money.
Right. And who doesn't want to do that?
And like when you buy 100 of that card and you turn, $200 into $800, it helps out. And that's where I kind of get into buying the wax. So honestly, I think that some shows almost have the best deals sometimes, or at least the ability to have the variety of, instead of getting the best deal on a sealed case of something, being able to mix and match, maybe get 5 prism blasters, 5 this blasters, 5 that, make your own kind of case to where they
Yep.
have the availability to do so, to have the variety. So like it's just, but wax is one of those things where it really depends on how much they print.
Yeah.
Like no, those are the things that I really want to find. It's just becoming harder and harder to find is actual print runs.
Yep.
So until like that information gets released, the proper value of wax will really never be known.
It's a very good point. Very good point. I like to buy it. I like to hold it until I see how much is coming out. And then I like to make a decision like mid flow, midstream, and then it's too late for me with my prism. Now I just got to hold it and wait for all these rookies to be awesome.
Yeah,
Um, no, it's tough to find it. And when you do find it at a good price, if you have the money to do it, you should buy it because it doesn't sit long. This stuff disappears so fast. You go to a Walmart in the morning, there might be a whole shelf full of stuff, and you get there in the afternoon, there's nothing. Um, I've never seen anything at my Walmart since before the pandemic, to be honest with you. So I don't even know what that's like. I just nobody around my local area figured out the Family Dollar thing yet. So I'm gonna I'm
that's
gonna
gonna be
roll
fun.
on that for a minute. But
I walked into Walmart one time, and I don't know, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm not sure if the guy was restocking late or what. But I walked in on him refilling the Mosaic NBA, and I was like, "Don't even put it on the shelf. Just
yeah,
put it,
just give me the whole thing.
put it right over here. You don't have to put it up. Just put it right here."
Nice.
Like, so that's like the 1 or 2 times I've been lucky enough is, just catching them at the right time. But even then, it's like I said, you want to crack it, you want to rip it, and it's just, for me, I'd much rather buy the singles, invest the proper way, buy the people who I have faith in, and hopefully it turns around. Like I showed you my little mail haul. It's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that here over a little while. So I forgot what half of this stuff is, to be honest with you.
That's terrible. Don't forget that, because if you don't get a card shipped, you'll never know which one it wasn't.
Oh, I log everything, so that's why I got to sit down and go get to my log and put everything in. But I was like, that's way more than I thought I was gonna have here.
That's fun. That's fun. I had a couple of those too. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, Robert, for coming back and co-hosting with me. We're going to have Robert every time we do this, I hope, guys. And hit the like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to bring you more. We're talking about having guests in the future, maybe from grading companies, maybe some athletes, other people in the hobby. If you want to be on the show, you want to be one of our first guests, let us know in the comments. Drop some stuff. Also, if you want to hear us talk about anything in the hobby, leave those in the comments too. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.